Hey guys, welcome to TCM. I'm Larry and
I'm Seth.
that's Seth. Hey Seth, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back on the show.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've got something special for you guys. As some of you may know, the TCM Live, the live aspect of this is actually the live chat. And so in case any of you have ever wondered of why you maybe see me in the live chat during the program, it's because this is recorded and then it's edited for, content, because every once in a while Seth gets a tick or he gets hungry for peanut butter and he'll just up and leave. I don't get it, but
It's pretty often.
yeah, it's what he does.
Yeah.
And so we have to do multiple takes of the show, right? Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So, but
right,
what we want to do here, this is a special webisode for TCM because we're actually filming this on September 11th, 2013. And I thought we should spend a little bit of time, we thought we should spend a little bit of time just talking about TCM for those of you out there that maybe do not know a lot about us as far as how we started and where we're at. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that briefly, and Seth is going to share from his experiences of coming in TCM. TCM actually started, if I had to pinpoint it, Seth, I would say that TCM started on September 11th, 2011. And our area, if you remember, of Monroe, West Monroe, Louisiana, or as many people know it around the nation, of Duck Commander Central,
Yes.
Duck Dynasty Central, we were going through an epidemic of especially teen suicides.
Yeah.
And on September 11th, 2011, one of my youth that I'd had from like 7th grade, he sent me a text, he left me a letter, and then he went out into his backyard and he shot himself. It was the first funeral that I ever performed by myself as a pastor. And it totally rocked my world, my church's world, his family's world, of course. And I remember thinking almost immediately when I got over the shock just a little bit from everything transpiring on September 11th, that something needed to be done, that we needed to reach out farther and deeper than we ever had before. And God started really talking to me right there about TCM, Teen Christian Ministries, which is now, of course, Teen Christian Ministries Incorporated. And he placed it upon my heart to reach outside of my movement, Church of God Reformation movement, based out of Anderson, Indiana, is what I'm a part of. And he said, what I want you to do is I want you to go outside of that, and I want you to contact people who are willing to step outside of their walls and to come together to make a difference in the lives of teenagers and young adults. And as I've said before, we started with my old Toshiba laptop with horrible sound and grainy picture. And we really just wanted to spread a message of hope. That's where our tagline came from. From September 11th, it was, "You are not alone." Because we never want anyone to feel like they are alone in this world. And so when we started reaching out, I tell people we were ignorant enough, lack of knowledge, we were ignorant enough to not realize that this wasn't supposed to work. We weren't supposed to gain even a little bit of a following. We weren't really supposed to make much of a difference because we had no idea what we were doing. All we had, and all we have still really, is a passion and a vision to truly and desperately make a difference. And so that's how TCM actually started. So I got together with Leslie Lamb, who used to be at 88.7 FM The Cross, and she is an author. Tim Coates, who also worked at The Cross and doing some wonderful things in ministry. And with Sean Hornsby at First United Methodist Church, he's the youth pastor over there. Chris Trombator, who at the time was at Mount Vernon Baptist Church. And then we just had all of these people from different walks of life, different denominations, really buy into this vision and this dream that TCM Live had to touch lives and to reach out to those of you that are hurting, no matter how unbelievable it may be. We've gotten stories on this. I can't believe you guys, you don't even know me, but you're reaching out to me and you really make me feel like that you care and you love me. I don't understand that because you don't know me. Well, that's the love of Christ. And that is why we do what we do. That's why you see us on Facebook asking for money. That's why you see us in person asking for support, because it does, unfortunately, in this world, it takes money in order to do ministry. But the money is turned right back around and put into TCM Live. We are a nonprofit, and believe me, we live up to that status.
No kidding.
And so that's what we are, and that's where we came from. You know, our very first episode that we ever did of TCM, we changed a life, at least one that we know of. That's the very first episode when we most needed to be encouraged and to know that we were going to make a difference. God saw fit to show us that we did. And we're continuing to do that as we reach out in our communities. Now, Seth, when you came into TCM, when we first met, you saw something there. What did you see there with TCM?
Well, I had actually heard of TCM, but I never really checked it out too much. I saw it on Facebook, and you know, I heard about it. I heard about you, and I heard about Leslie, and I just never really given it any time. And then actually, it wasn't actually the show that got me involved with TCM. It was actually getting the chance to meet you at a Johnny's. Big plug for Johnny's, by the way. Johnny's Pizza, hanging out there with another friend, and getting to meet you and just hearing your heart about what TCM is. And I just thought, man, that's exactly what I want to be a part of. You know, I look at the tagline for Teen Christian Ministries, TCM, you are not alone. And I think that is a message that I want to be a part of helping to spread.
Yeah. I think one of the big things, too, with TCM is I've had a lot of people tell me that it's difficult. One, it's difficult to get support for teenagers because especially we adults, we want our teens to have their own type ministry. We want to have organizations that kind of cater to them and to their needs, which is very, very important. But we adults a lot of times don't want to put money towards it or sacrifice towards it. I've been told that on a lot of occasions, and I agree with that to a certain extent, but also I can see another side of it to where a lot of times people are just not sure which ministry to give to, where to be confident in their giving. When you look at teen ministry, you do a web search, you come up with a lot of different results, and there's a lot of different places that you might be able to give your hard-earned money to. Mm-hmm. And one thing we've always wanted to stress with TCM is people always say, well, there's a lot of teen ministries out there doing their own thing, trying to get known. And God really gave us a vision on this that we want to get known, but see, here's the thing. We're not just doing our own thing. We don't want to just do our own thing. We've reached out to various other ministries, other teenage, young adult ministries, and some of them are actually, there's one teen ministry, actually young adult ministry, The Table, that goes on here in West Monroe and Monroe that meets on Thursdays. Right now, while we are doing this webcast, there's a young adult ministry that's meeting in Monroe, West Monroe, wherever they choose to meet the particular time, and they have a lot of people there doing great things. We lift that up because we do not see any competition in that. Just because they're not watching our program doesn't mean that they don't support us. So wherever they are, they're getting fed. God told us, I want you to go in as TCM, and I want you to fill the cracks in Christianity. I want you to cement them to bring the rest of the body of Christ together. I don't want you to just do your own thing. I want you to help other people do theirs. That's why a lot of times if you're friends with me on Facebook or Seth or Leslie or Brian Brown, you will see us plug other things that you think, well, they're into like teen ministry. Why in the world would they do that? Or that seems like that ministry would be in competition with them. We don't see it that way whatsoever. If we can lift other people up, other organizations up to touch lives, we're going to do it. Because let's face it, you guys out there, if you teenagers, if you're still with us here, I mean, think about this. Don't you like to have choices? And for whatever reason, if you come to us, it would break our hearts, of course, as it would most youth pastors or youth workers, people that work with teenagers. But if we didn't give you what you really felt like you needed at the time you needed it, at the very least, we want to point you in the right direction to get what you need. Because you deserve that help. If you reach out, you deserve somebody to reach back, especially those of us that are in the body of Christ, those of us who are believers in Jesus Christ. We have a mandate to meet the needs. They're there. One of the biggest things that's continued to roll ever since the 60s and 70s is the sexual revolution, where there's so much smut and so much filth available at our fingertips. You know, you have sex acts taking place in the elementary school bathrooms, in small country towns, not just in the big cities. You have teenagers and even younger and older who are cutting themselves, who are taking razor blades and other things, and when they're triggered, they're cutting themselves. You have what we just heard about not long ago, someone who might be depressed and suicidal, having maybe a parent come up to them and lay a gun in front of them and say, "You really serious about doing it? Fine, go ahead and do it." Because they think they're bluffing on it. It's things like this. It's misinformation, and it's callousness, and it's cold-heartedness. These things combined together are helping to tear our country down. In organizations like us, TCM, we are fighting and we are clawing and we are struggling. I want you to think about this for just a second. I'm going to be just real human for a minute here. I'm not super Christian, but I'm going to be real human for a minute here. It is extremely hard for a small ministry like this, who is virtually unknown, for the most part, virtually unknown to a lot of people, to exist and to try to thrive in the very homeland of Duck Dynasty. Because whatever they do turns to gold, and people immediately notice that. Now, I do not bear them any ill will on that whatsoever. In fact, we support them wholeheartedly as they go forth and as they touch people for Christ. As you know, if they put a tweet on tweet on Twitter, and of course it's linked to Facebook, it goes to immediately millions of people. I'll turn around and repost that. We'll like it, whatever. The point is, though, that there are other avenues, there are other people that are trying to make a difference. And if you're sitting out there right now and you're looking at your own situation like that, maybe you have people around you that seem to have all of these spiritual gifts and they're really touching people for Christ, and you're like, I can never be like them. I can never do that. I can never do this. They're so much more gifted than I am. I want you to think about the fact that, TCM can identify with that. But see, here's what you have to see about your own life too. Seth, I don't know about you, but I don't hunt. And aside from the fact that you have a beard, I'm going to guess that you don't make duck calls.
No, I don't.
And you don't film a reality television show. So therefore, even though we have this behemoth of a ministry that is literally right down the road from us, we could walk there if we wanted to. We can't really look at them and compare ourselves to them, because we were designed as individuals and we were designed as an organization to do something different than them. To support them, but do something different. So you out there, when you're looking at this, when you're watching this webisode right now and you're looking in your own life and you're thinking, well, I can't go do that. I can't start that Bible study at school. Okay, you can't start it. Somebody already did. Be a part of it. Okay, I can't really do this ministry. So-and-so sings better than me. Well, you sing in a different way than they do. You're not meant to sing like them. Well, I can't speak up and be a Sunday school teacher or help out with the youth because so-and-so and so-and-so is already doing it. They're not doing it the way that you can. And my youth that committed suicide, these are things that I always tried to pour into him, to let him know that he was special, that he made a difference. And despite how things ended with his life, I watched a change in him. I watched a change from when he came into the youth group, or I guess I should say when I took over the youth group. I watched a change in him from that moment over the years, because he was a tough nut to crack. He really was. He didn't trust people very much. He wanted to know why behind things. He wanted to, it's kind of like that old saying we preachers use sometimes. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
He had to know how much I cared. He had to know how much my youth ministry staff cared. And it took about 3 years for that to happen. Mm-hmm. 3 long, hard years. But he did realize, I saw it in his eyes one day, he realized that he made a difference where he was at. And that's what we want people out there to know. That's what we want you to know, that you can make a difference right where you are at. And if you will hold to sort of like what we did, the fact that we are still so ignorant, lack of knowledge, not name calling. We're so ignorant, we don't realize that this isn't supposed to work. You can't see him, but we've got Brian Brown sitting over here in the corner. He films a lot of our webisodes for us. He's part of TCM, and we're so glad that he is. But we're filming this on his borrowed camera, because we're a webcast that doesn't have the money to buy our own camera in order to make this happen. We have an old soundboard that we use, an old laptop that we use, and we spent a lot of our money at the beginning, the little bit we had, to buy a green screen that we have behind us in order to improve our quality and our look and our sound, things like that, so that it will be easier for you to watch this program so that you can hear us better and see the passion that we're trying to pour into you. So what you can do is you can take that raw material in your life that you have right now, that raw material, that's what it is. And you can let God, I hope you believe in Him. I hope you know that He loves you. Because He wants to take that raw material, those talents and those desires that you have, and He wants to grow them. He wants to water them. And He wants to see you do great and wonderful things. Be the people that God has designed you to be, and we want to help you do that. Will you help us? Have a good night, guys. We will see you next week. And again, we will say it one more time. I want you to remember this. You are not alone. Have a good night.
God bless you guys.